Okay. Here I am. Here I is. Got my little heater here that's not functioning. What's going on? There it goes. Should be on in a sec. There it goes. Yeah, she's cold out tonight. I don't know as it's extremely cold, but it is definitely cool out there. All right, Keith, how you doing? Keith is always on it. What happened here? Okay. 8:02. Today's January 3rd. And welcome. Sean's with us. This is Mark, and I'm coming to you from Baker's Green Acres in the perimeter of downtown Marion, Michigan. I'm sure everybody's heard of it. It's a swinging town. And somebody else has been fooling around with my stuff here. So it's not the way I normally have it. Jill uses this place too. So she has a backdrop that she puts up, and then I take it down. Or she takes it down. All right, so here it is. It's Monday, and I kind of have a action-packed week ahead of me. I'm actually heading out tomorrow and heading down to Crunchy Mama's place in Texas. So we've got about an 18-hour drive, but that's not such a big deal, really. We're going to make it in, like, we'll just drive and then maybe stop. Maybe. I think I'm going to leave tomorrow sometime, maybe right after lunch. Who knows? And then just drive till whenever, and then swap drivers out, and then drive the rest of the day on Wednesday, all day Wednesday, and then maybe get something Wednesday night, because we are planning to get to Crunchy Mama's place Thursday evening. And just to bring you up to speed, the purpose of this, right? Virgil's with us, right on. Nancy's with us, right on. We're doing a homestead hog harvest, and it's what we have called in the past, anyone can farm on the road. I don't know. Sounds cute. But I could see a day when we do many, many more of these, because what I think would be very interesting content to bring to the world would be how other people are doing this thing, and it doesn't have to be the best and the brightest or the worst and it can be everywhere in there, because wouldn't you like to see how someone else started up and do a little interview with them and saying, how come you're doing this? What got into you to want to do something like this? So I think that would be fun. I think that would be interesting content. I would be interested in that. This career field is a career field that's near and dear to my heart. So I am always interested to talk to other people who are doing this. We had a fella over the house Saturday night. He's a guy that I've known for a long time, and his intention was to get into farming full time back when we first started being friends. And he's gone through a few changes in life, and he's full-time farming now, and he has been for about 10 months. And he was having the usual struggles and sent me a text And it was a deep subject, right? About, hey, I don't know if this is going the way it ought to go. And so I said to him, hey, why don't you come for dinner? And then we can talk about it. Well, he left there 2:30 Saturday morning, 2:30 in the morning. So he showed up here about 5 in the afternoon. We talked all through dinner. The kids got up and left. Joe got up and left. The table got cleared. Everything. And me and this guy were still talking about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And it's pretty clear to me that there's a driving force that's happening. Don't ask me. I can't explain it. Something's wrong with my fan here. It's not blowing heat. Okay, there it goes. Joe would have turned that off. I don't know. But there's some supernatural power going on right now where people are saying, hey, I need to do this. I want to do this. And so, that's good. That's good. We know we're in the right place at the right time. I don't really have to sell the notion anymore, I don't think. After the last couple of years, it's pretty obvious. You better have control of your existence on this planet. You better have as much control as you can, because anytime you're depending on somebody else, that entity could get you in a bad position. They could get you in a bad position. We saw a little of this. Maybe some of you have seen a lot more than I have. I guess I haven't. It's not the first thing on my mind. But I know during the height of the Wu flu, you really were kind of worried that, well, they won't let me in this store unless I have a chunk of fabric over my face, a face diaper. And I know a lot of people cookies, and they said, well, it's just easier if I do it. But I think they got kind of programmed that store can keep you out and can prevent you from eating unless you do what they say. So it in effect, it is corporatism. This wasn't the government doing it directly, but we're living in a world of information war, right? Hey, Inga, welcome. Happy New Year. The one of the sides, and this isn't what I really want to talk about tonight, but I guess, okay, you got me started. One of the sides is called Antifa, and that's for anti-fascists. So, I mean, everybody knows that a fascist is a bad thing, but what exactly is it? What exactly is a fascist? And we've gone through this before, but if you take the time to look it up, which I encourage people to do that, probably, there's usually several definitions, but one of them that I think fits the bill very well is privately held, government run. So privately held, government controlled, right? So if let's say you want to have a store in town, well, when you're in town within the corporate limits, they say, oh yeah, but you have to have a permit from, say, the health department. Let's say if you're going to have a store, and a permit is actually permission. It's like a hall pass, right? You're in high school and you say, I have to go to the bathroom. Okay, let me write you out a hall pass, because without the hall pass, somebody's going to chase you back to your room, right? And that's just the rules that you're playing by at the school when you apply for membership at a school, I suppose. There's a student's handbook, and then you sign, and I will abide by all these dumb things. And so you agree to that, where if you say, well, I'm not going to abide to this, if I have to go to the bathroom, I'm getting up and I'm going. Well, they would say, well, then you can't be at this school. I suppose. I don't know what would happen. If it's a public school, I'm not signing anything, but you agree to that. And you get your hall pass, and it's written for this time. Let's say it's written for 9 o'clock, 9:06. A reasonable time to go to the bathroom and come back would be 5-10 minutes, something like that. If you present the hall pass at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that won't work, right? So there's conditions in that permission slip. So if you get a permit, let's say from the county health department, which is sort of an extension of the Department of Agriculture in some ways, they say, oh yeah, you can do this. We'll let you do this. And, but here's the conditions of it. So the conditions, let's say, are between this day and this day, you're going to have some sort of event on your own property, which is a joke. I mean, getting permission from them to do something on your own property is a joke. And I would never do it, and I never have done it, and I never will do it. It doesn't matter what they say. Property, there's no way that they can permit anything that is illegal. And if I'm doing something that is legal on my property, I don't need their permission, and I never ask them for their permission. And if they try to push their way in and say, you didn't get permission from us, then they're trespassing on private property, and I would arrest them instantly, right? So there's a little bit of like apprehension, on their part to come bowling into my property, because it might not turn out too good for them, because private property is private property. If you want access to it, get a warrant or get my permission. Or if you look in from the street and I'm doing something illegal, well, then you can engage, like a state policeman sees me about to do, I don't know, human sacrifice. Well, he could intervene for sure, and there wouldn't be wouldn't be a problem with that. But so that's the information system that we're up against. I don't know if that ties together very well, but we see how we hate fascism, and fascism is bad, but we're immersed in it, right? And after all, in the state that I live in, I'll just speak for this state, it was the government that screwed the whole place up. Absolutely. And then other lower or more local government officials said, nah, I don't think so. We're not going to do it. And that's good. Why did they do that? Because there was pushback from the people. Where does a county get off telling you must wear a face diaper when you go in a store? For that matter, where does the federal government or state government or anybody get off doing that? And so we got to see that. There was a tremendous amount of pushback, or else we would still be wearing face diapers. I went up to Cabernet, which is our ski area, last Friday. I think I told you guys this because I came on briefly Friday. I don't know if I mentioned this, though. Oh, yeah. Happy New Year, everybody. I came on briefly Friday night, and I may have mentioned this. I may not have, but I was standing in the line to get my ticket to go skiing, which ultimately I did not go, because wouldn't you know, on my pass, it said this pass is good for every day except this day right here, New Year's Eve. Not good that day. So I'm in line. I've waited in line for quite a while. That credit card, I could feel it throbbing in my pocket, like, just get a ticket, $60, just pay it for me and my daughter. And luckily I didn't have it in my pocket, because I probably would have paid it, and it would have really irritated me, because my pass was $100 and I can go 4 times, but that would have been just the principle of it really really turned me off. But anyway, standing in line there, I'm looking around. Last year at this time, I went skiing 0 times because I would not put a face diaper on. I would not do it. And I'd be damned if I'm going to have some lift line operator or some, cheeseburger flipping person getting in my face over a. So I knew what would happen. I planned to go back there to go skiing. I like to go there with my kids. I kind of like skiing, not as much as I used to. I'm not afraid. I'm just afraid of getting hurt, and I don't heal as well as I used to. And I really like doing this. But if I have a damaged leg or something, it's going to be. So I'm kind of weighing it like, do I really need to do this or what? But this time last year, if you wanted to ski, you had to have a face mask on. This year, I looked out over the crowd. I could not see one. And I was probably looking at, you can see a long way. And a lot of people. The place was jammed. I'd say I was observing 400 people at one time. I was able to stand there and scan back and forth and back and forth. Even the ladies that were working the ticket booth, they didn't have them because, like, if you go in Home Depot, they make them wear them, and they all wear them down here. Or a few other stores, they make them wear them. That's corporatism. See, they were trying to make their employees the enforcers of this garbage, and it was coming from the government to do it. But there was a serious breakdown because the employees were saying, hey, man, that's not my job, and I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. And the ones who were militant about it and said, yes, I will do it, they were only doing it because they had gotten stuffed in their lockers so many times in high school that now it was their time for payback, right? And that's why they did it. And other people saw that and lashed back to the extreme. It's like, if you get charge of this society, you, Mr. Walmart greeter, if you become in charge, we are in trouble. And we're not going to let that happen. And so the firing back was intense from a lot of folks. I've heard lots of testimonies, and it was pretty intense. And once they'd been beat up a little bit, they didn't want to get stuffed in a locker there at Walmart, so they just leave it alone. And any of the stores now around here, there's nothing. They highly recommends, like, that is so, at first it's like, if you cross this line, you will die. If you cross this line, you will die. Well, if you cross this line, can I have your lunch money? It's like they back down. And I think it is really good for us that we have seen this. Because if you can't enforce a mask mandate, how are you going to enforce a vaccine mandate? Like they're doing in the cities. They're pulling it off in the cities, or at least they say they are. I don't know anybody that lives in New York City, but they say they're pulling it off. But I just, I worked for 4 years at Lockheed Aircraft Company with kids from New York City. There's 2 places there where people go to become aircraft mechanics, and one was in New Jersey, Teterboro, and another one was Aviation High School. And those kids from New York, they're tough kids, and they don't like being told what to do. So I find it very hard to believe that they would be a part of this whole thing. So, but the point of saying this was, as we watch this happen, we say, okay, what can I do to fortify my position? So if Mr. Walmart greeter winds up in charge of my world, which we have seen that happen. We have. Look at the TSA. Just look at the TSA. I mean, they're a lot better, But you see some real winners at the TSA that they pick you out and they say, that's the guy that stuffed me in my locker in high school, and I'm a pick on him now. You see that. It's happened to me. I was never a bully or anything like that, but I think I kind of, might look that way. But I've been abused by the TSA several times, even with a military ID in my wallet that I'm showing them. I have to show them the contents of my wallet. I have to show them my cavity, my body cavity, and still they want more. They want to give you a hard time. So, we are going on this trip, on this anyone can farm trip, and I feel as though we didn't need to do a lot of advertising to get a group of 40-something-year-old people together to want us to come and show them how to butcher a pig. I didn't do any advertising. Amy and Sean did it. But I don't think it was extremely difficult to get that group of people. Why? Because it's clicking in people's the deep state communist sympathizing parasite class. They are that way because they don't think like we do. If something is thrown in our way, right, we figure out a way around it, over it, on it, or right friggin' through it. And we haven't exactly gone right friggin' through it, but we have everything we need to do that. And usually when you break through something, it's like a big snowdrift. It goes flying everywhere, right? And that is the one thing I believe that this parasite class of Americans, they are Americans. They're being pushed by a lot of communist folks. I think a lot of them are from outside of the country. I believe that there's some serious comeuppance coming for some of these people because working with a communist nation to subvert the U.S. Constitution and the people who are here to defend it is not a good thing. And I feel like this whole thing that we've gone through, it was an opportunity to totally enslave us. But, we're not locked down. We're not being forced to take vaccines. Yeah, part of their operation was this huge psychological operation that they have launched through the mainstream media to convince people with fear and intrepidation, right? What's intrepidation? Fear and intrepidation that they must take this thing. I think that was the plan all along. But maybe that thing isn't all it was cracked up to be. Maybe we're not seeing the intense rate of death that we were told that we would by this time. I'm not seeing it. I don't know anybody. The ones that I know that have died, they didn't die from the antidote. It was mostly the protocol. They got them into the hospital and they stuck them on remdesivir, and then boom, got them on a ventilator, and then that's how they got them. So, but either way, I don't think they're going to fail. And self-sufficiency is a tremendous, is a huge stumbling block for their operation. A good movie, if you want to get an idea of what communism is, and I'm not making it clear, which maybe I'm not tonight. I'm not really working at that, but it's Chernobyl or Chernobyl. I'm sure everybody knows what it is, but there was a massive problem at a nuclear power plant in Chernobyl, Russia. and it went off, and there was two factions. There was the scientific community, and then there were scientists who were party members, and then there was just straight party members. And the party members, they don't want to hear if there's a problem. They're not educated people most of the time, so they don't really understand, hey, if this thing cooks off, we got a big deal. We don't, it's working 100%. Is that correct? Yes, comrade, 100%. It's working fine. And then the scientific community was saying, hey, something's not right here. We need to do something. We need to shut this down. No, we can't shut it down. It's working at 100%. Right, comrade? Yes, comrade. And then it finally cooked off. And you get to see, I thought it was a very accurate movie from what I know. And, I've not been to Russia. The only thing that I know is other countries that I've been to that were socialist, probably communist. And then I had a young man that worked for me when I was in the military that was a Russian citizen, or had been. He defected. And I used to quiz him regularly about what, I see pictures, I hear, and I would hear when he looking into his eyes and seeing him just light up, telling me that when he leaves work, I was debriefing him from a mission that he was on, and when he would, get all of his stuff and leave for the day, he would go back to a dorm room that he was the only one in the room by himself. I got a bed, I got a desk, I got lights that come on. Thrilled. And then I get to get in my own car, and I can drive any direction I want and go as far as I want. All I have to do is be able to put fuel in it. And the Air Force is paying me an unbelievable amount of money to do this task that I'm being asked to do. Why wouldn't I be thrilled to live here? And I can stop along the way and buy stuff. I don't have to show a travel permit to a store owner or a point. I run no risk of being turned around and sent home. Might get a speeding ticket, but you're not going to get turned around and sent home because you don't give money to the checkpoint guards, right? So freedom is, we don't know what freedom is because we don't have a point of reference. But I hope this latest thing, you're able to extrapolate it out a little bit. If the Walmart greeter guy, let's say he was the township supervisor, and they were going door to door saying, we need a list of everybody who's been taking the antidote here, right? Of course, that's not going to happen, right? Not in this country, because Americans have become quite aggressive on this. At least the true Americans have become quite, and some of them are just, they're sheep, and they just kind of follow the crowd. They're not going to hurt anybody. There is a class of Americans that are absolute beasts, and they're kind of chuckling about this and saying, well, how do you think you're going to go with this? Are you sure you want to do this? Let's see what happens now. And I know some of these people, absolute beasts, and the Walmart grease. I mean, they're not the same as the parasite class that use agriculture. The Walmart greeter guy usually is a retired guy that just needs a job. He just wants something. And, hey, yeah, I'll work here. So it's not, I don't want to slam those guys because they are working. I don't consider them parasites like Department of Agriculture people. They actually perform a duty for that corporation. The corporation has decided that that's an important thing. Greet people, make them feel welcome into their corporate morass, and maybe they'll spend more money with you, right? But some of those guys took it way too far, and some of the stores actually put burly gentleman up there. And I thought that was, I didn't encounter it. But I probably, if I knew it, I probably would have intentionally encountered it, because I would just think, oh, this could be interesting. So we don't need to sell anything to anybody. You need to have some food security, and I don't think you can rely on anybody else for your food security. You have to rely on yourself, and as such, let's talk about the subject for tonight, which is self-sufficiency. And I think that when I talk to people, I go do things, and lots of times there'll be, there could be a bunch of people, and it could be a casual atmosphere. And I get the feeling when you're talking with people, they don't really know where to start. And I had a hard time with that for a while. But it's because my point of reference was never the same as theirs, right? So I remember when I got here, when I got to Michigan, I had a neighbor, and I went over to his place, and I happened to go over there at dinner time, and he came out, and I looked past him as him and his wife were eating dinner, and I said, "Wow, that's good looking beef. Is that your beef?" And he says, "No, no, no." I said, "But what, you don't, I'm surprised you don't." And he's like, "No, no, no. I get this from," and he named the store. And I thought, really, you're a full-time farmer, a cattleman, and you're buying your beef from, kind of a rinky-dink store. It was, type store. And I thought, wow. And then as I got to know him, to know this guy, he knew how to milk cows. He knew how to bale hay. He had somebody else do his silage for him. I went into his place that he called the tool shop one time, and there was about 6 tools in there. And as I got to know him, I realized, yeah, he is a farmer, but he is highly specialized, and he knows how to do very little, really, when it came to any mechanical work. Just some of the stuff he brought here to have me fix was like, you kidding me? You don't do that yourself? I mean, you don't have, like, I thought everybody had cutting torches at their place. Everybody had a welding machine. Everybody, the type of farming that I'm in, I don't know who I would call if something broke. But this guy had a hole that he utilized to do the things that he needed done. Did he get it done? He went out of business. I thought it was quite early, at a quite early age, but I don't know, something. I think he sold out most of the land and all the cattle and stuff, and then went to work for somebody else, kind of doing the same thing, but just kind of driving. He was for one of these, sort of what my son Keith, working for a cutting operation, which, yeah, but it's not a rounded thing. You get your lunchbox, and they say that's your tractor, and you get in the tractor, you hook it up to a manure spreader, and that's all. You're sitting there all day, maybe listening to audiobooks but driving. There's the on button to squirt the poop. So that's what you're doing. It's specialized. The military is like that sometimes too. They, you're a fuel guy, you do fuel. You don't do hydraulics. Fuel, that's it. You're electric shop, you don't get involved with fuel. You just do fuel. You just do electric. The radio guys, they're top of the heap. They don't touch anything fuel or any structures or anything like that. They don't do that. But that's not, I don't believe that's healthy. I don't. That's my thought right now. And I think a lot of our success has been that we don't see anything as not our job, right? Now, there might be some things that I would contract out to someone else, like for instance, what I did today is I gave a shout out to Mancy Motors in Cadillac last week. And when I bought that Honda, he said, bring it back before you go on your trip and let us look it over a little bit. All right. I like that. You know, that vehicle, they hook it up to a machine that tells them what's wrong with it. I don't have that. And I don't really want that. Right. So they hook it up and he goes, this light bulb is burned out. That's how he figured out what the problem was. I had a dome light, didn't come on. Is it the switch? Is it the wire? Is it the light? He hooks it up. It's the bulb. We have to order it. Okay. Good, because what would I have done? I would have started tearing stuff apart and putting a meter out there. And I don't really want to do that. And I don't think I would gain much by doing that when these guys that's their specialty. But in their career field, they're not just working on one type of vehicle or one system on that vehicle. They're very diversified too. And now what am I saying here? That we need to be diversified in everything that there is to know? I don't know if that's for some minds, maybe. For me, I'm pretty diverse, and I think my diversity in my knowledge base and the things that I can do is a strength. It's a huge strength. And so it is what leads to my level of self-sufficiency. And like self-sufficiency can be from 0, you're totally not self-sufficient, you're just a parasite, you don't even know how to put gas in the car that they provide you to drive, you don't know how to clean that car out, you do not know how to do anything to keep yourself fed, clothed, and warmth. You are depending totally on other people to do that. But you have this job working for like the state, and they pay you enough money where you can do that. You just hire other people to do it, right? Or sort of like the nobility class. They're pale, they're very weak, but they have servants that do everything for them. Even the servants do their duck hunting for them. They didn't even go duck hunting themselves. But their level of resiliency or their level of self-sufficiency is like 0. Where you take another guy, like let's just say, if we were using this farm and just using me as an example, my level of self-sufficiency could be 85%. Ooh, what is it that you don't do? I thought you were the guru of self-sufficiency. Well, I don't refine fuel, so I have to buy gasoline. I have to buy diesel. Electricity, yeah, I make electricity, but I gotta have gasoline, diesel fuel to do it at this point, right? I don't have a salt mine here, and we really need salt. We need it for the animals. We need it for us. I don't have any coffee trees here. And what good is life without coffee? You know what I mean? You got to have coffee. And other things. It goes on and on. Like we don't do sugar. We have to buy that. A lot of stuff. I mean, I didn't make this flag. I didn't make this board. I didn't on this wall. All this equipment that I'm using, I don't really know how it works. It's a laptop computer, for goodness sakes. Who knows how a laptop computer works, right? But the list of things that we do not produce as compared to the list of things that we do produce is, it's, I suppose it would take a while to go through it and really decide, is it 85%? And is that higher? Or more like 30%, because but there's another factor too. Like if we choose to live in a log cabin on a vast tract of land, let's say in Alaska, if we chose to do that, like life below zero type people, they don't have a lot of things, right, to be self-sufficient at. They just have a very minimal amount of things on their property, in their life, right? Like just on my desk here, I'm looking at a lot of stuff. I can show you some of it. Okay, so here's a headlight, right? This is pretty good because when the sun goes down, I put this on and the sun is right on my head. Any place I look, I can go out, I can cut wood with this at night. Actually, it's very good for cutting wood at night, But without that, most of the things that I would do at night or do during the day, they stop as far as, hey, Justin's with us. All right. And Inga's with us too. Fun on the homestead. But with that, that gives me the ability to extend my work day, right? Let's see, what was I saying? I'm just talking about some of the stuff that's sitting on my desk. I'm getting more complex than I need to, only because I've gotten good enough at some stuff, so I go on to the next thing. Like in front of me, I have a tubing cutter. I have two 6-foot lengths of tubing there. I won't show you those because then I have a bunch of these unions. These are T's. These are elbows, right? They're very inexpensive. And then I have a torch here that I use a lot. We have two of these. This one's like the kind that you just push this button and she lights off. But I use this a lot for a bunch of different things. Sometimes we need to heat equipment up. Sometimes we need to do shrink tubing. Sometimes we need to do, burn the burn barrel off. But I use it a lot. But my point is, the more complex you make your operation, the more your skill level has to meet it for self-sufficiency. So I have a friend that I was in the Air Force with. He's from upstate New York, comes from a farm background. His grandfather was a farmer. His father was not. I remember his father worked for Kodak. But my buddy, his name was Meat, called him Meat. Everybody called him Meat, short for Meathead. He told me that his grandfather said, you need to know how everything on that farm works. Okay. Now, is that just like a cursory understanding of it? Well, as a full-time farmer now, I can tell you that's a good place to start. I kind of understand how it works. Wait till it breaks. Then you start digging into it and you'll really know how it works. You'll really know how it works if you're the one that has to fix it. But you can kind of reverse engineer that. You can say, well, I don't want that on the farm because I don't want to have to know how that works. Case in point, I use older equipment, right? Like the Pilot. That's the newest thing that we have. It's a 2010. Perfectly serviceable piece of equipment. Americans are so used to, oh, it's 10 years old. That is old, in as far as automotive goes and cell phones and stuff. But that's just a product of the generations of people who they didn't know how a 1974 car worked. And so for them, 10 years, that's pretty old. I want something that's going to be dependable. And I'm working in this postage stamp cubicle, and I'm making enough money where I've been making a $500 payment or $600 or $700 payment on a car. Well, I'll just continue to do that. And that seems like a smart thing to do. but it's not. It's not a smart thing to do, in my opinion. I always have to put my opinion on it because some people do that. Some people, that's just how they do it. But if you look at the equipment that you have on your homestead, and it is very, very simple equipment, like simple machine type equipment, sort of like a hammer, it's a very simple thing, but you put it in the hands of someone who's not used a hammer much, and they'd be, well, I can go bang, bang, bang with it, but can you really, get the most out of that piece of equipment? No, because it takes time. It takes practice. It takes a lot of practice, right, for a hammer, or let's say an axe. You ever see somebody who's good with an axe cut a tree down? Wow. You ever see somebody who is good with a knife cutting up, taking an animal apart? Have you? I have, and that's not me. I'm better than I was, but I knew a guy in Montana that you would, if you were standing behind him watching him work, hoofs and heads and stuff just flying out of the side. It's almost like watching Popeye when he's doing something, literally that good. Skin out an entire cow in about, I don't know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe. That good. Just these broad sweeps that would just go way down, all around the joints and everything. He knew where everything was. And as I remember, the knife that he used when he was out working was like a paring knife, but the blade on it was no longer than that. It was kind of a thick blade. He's still around too. 5D's meat processing out in Montana. Unbelievable with a knife. Unbelievable. He was good at a lot of things too, that guy. He was one of the friends that I had that was very good at a lot of things. So I think that if we want to talk to people about being self-sufficient, then we really need to start the conversation at, well, let's say I'm not self-sufficient. Let's say I was part of the parent class, but I don't want to be there anymore. I left my job at the Department of Agriculture, and I'm going to be a homesteader and get a real job. I'm going to go work on cars or something, or be a drywaller, or there's millions of jobs around now. You don't have to be a parasite if you don't want to. What would we tell that person behind the scenes? What would we say to them? Okay, you don't want to be that way, and you want to be self-sufficient. So they might say to you, well, where do I start? For me, I don't know what that's like, because my father and my grandfather were huge tool people. My father was a B-17 crew chief, right? So he was overseeing, and a C-47 crew chief as well. But he was overseeing maintenance a lot, and it was just something that stayed with him. But I've seen pictures when he was a kid, and he had bicycles that were really heavy, really tricked out with all kinds of stuff. He was born in 21, have like saddlebags on it, and all kinds of stuff. They used to go on really long trips on their bicycles, spare tires. And he told me one time he hooked up a Model T coil to his bicycle, so when he got off of it, he could flip a switch, and if anybody touched it, they'd get jolted. I believe he did it. I believe he did. So when I was growing up, there was always the basement. Our basement, there was a workbench down there, and there was tools, all kinds of stuff. And I was always making stuff. And a lot of it never really worked, but I still made it anyway. And I had power tools that I could cut things out of wood and steel and stuff like that. I never did any welding until I got older, but then I went to work for a gas station, and my primary job was pumping gas, but the boss would have me doing tires and oil changes and brakes and stuff, like just really easy stuff while I was resting. I still know the guy too. Still know the guy, Paul Gaudette. He ran the Amico station in Shrewsbury, Mass. I didn't work there. I worked there about a year, right? And then after that, it was sort of the end of the age where you would be doing mechanic work. The gas stations got big and you were still pumping gas. But there was no maintenance. They would you'd just be pumping gas all day. And so that was a challenge too. I did that. And then I went to work for a carpenter the year before I went to school, tech school, to learn to work on airplanes. So, and I was always a carpenter. Always. My dad always did carpentry projects and, laying bricks and stuff and mortaring stone and all that stuff. Even though he never got trained in it. He just did it. He just decided to do it. So he'd do it. And that's kind of, I'm like that too. And I'm hoping to pass that on to you all, that you don't have to be formally educated. We can educate each other in how to do these things, and you don't have to necessarily go to school to learn how to do them. All right. So where would a person start? Where would a person start? Well, I think that I would start with books. A great book that we have is the Reader's Digest Back to Basics books. And it gives you an idea of what is out there in the homesteading world, all the different subjects, right? And you'll see that, they'll show you a drawing of something that somebody made, and you'll say, well, I don't even know where I'd start on that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now you have a point of reference. Possibly a weakness that you might have. Like, I don't have the tools to do that. Well, tools are really something that's like a given in this type of environment where we want to be self-sufficient, right? I'm in a pickle right now because I don't know what happened exactly, but this is I've shown you guys this. I carry this on my belt every day, and it was made. I bought it, but it was not the way I wanted it. So I modified it. So I had to do some stitching right there, right? So, I know how to do that. I know how to do that stitching. I have a stitcher. It's not exactly a needle and thread. And then this pocket right here, this pouch was designed. I don't know what exactly to house, but this sheath right here is a sheath that comes with one of these Mora knives. They're let's see, made in Switzerland. No, not Switzerland. Sweden. Must be good if it's made in Sweden. They're like $11. They're pretty cheap. But I'll tell you what. You get them sharp and they stay sharp. This one is actually not the one. If you see one of these, you don't actually want this one. You don't want the stainless steel one. See how that's stainless steel? You want the high carbon steel, because the stainless steel is really hard, and you get it sharp, but the tips are going to be very brittle and they'll break off. I don't mean the tip of the blade. I mean, when you sharpen a knife, it actually creates little fingers sticking out like this, microscopic. And then as you use the knife, those fingers can bend over, and if they bend back, they'll break off on a stainless steel, because it's the nature of it. It's hard steel. But one of these that's made with high carbon, it'll corrode on you. Like if you leave it sitting in water and you don't take care of it, it'll get rusty on you, but you should be pulling it out every day and doing something with it. I do. I can't go any place without this. So this pouch right here, it takes a knife, but I custom made this, right? I started with the basic design that I bought. It was like $15. And then I had to modify it so it would do what I wanted it to do. But the majority, I needed something to carry a multi-tool like this. This one is a SOG, S-O-G, and this one was bestowed upon me when I was in the United States Air Force. And I had it for years, never really liked it. So it didn't get used very much. I gave it to my oldest son, and I was over his house the other day, and I was lamenting that I had lost my Leatherman, right? I've had that Leatherman for 10 years. I have two of them, actually, because when one breaks, I send it in. And then when it comes back, if the other one breaks, I send it in. It's 25-year warranty on them. They send you a brand new one. And the Leatherman that I like is the Surge. It's big like this, but my son gave me this one because I had given it to him, and it's kind of a piece of junk. But there's no way I'm going to drive to Texas without a Leatherman. No way. And then this little pouch right here is for a flashlight. And I have a pen light that goes in there, but I'm missing it too. I have two of them, and I can't find either one. And I don't know what to tell you on that. If I knew where I put it down, then I would still have it. I'm hoping to find it in one of my coat pockets or someplace. But if I do not, I will be buying another one tomorrow. Because you can't go on a trip like that without a light. You have to have a light. You have to have a Leatherman, and you have to have a good skinning knife, a good knife. This knife right here, it might seem a bit extreme, but it's a $10, maybe $12 now. If I break this, oh well, right? So if I have to pry something, it's very good. If I have to cut bale strings when I feed my cows, I have to cut the strings and pull them out of there so the cows don't ingest them. Perfect. If I walk out the door of the house and I do not have this in my belt, the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to walk into something or run into something or, encounter something that I'll go, and I don't have it on me. So I never leave the house without it. Right? Even when I go streaking, I keep it on me. So I have to have this. It's sort of like I don't know, when you're in this business, you just get addicted to having a tool on you that, well, I can fix that. First thing you see is, oh, the doorknobs. Well, I can fix that. And I'm not calling a repairman, but I don't mean to say get you a Leatherman and you'll be self-sufficient. But you're on the road. You're on the road to self-sufficiency. And I think that I need to talk about this more because, like I said, my point of reference has always been I enjoy doing things myself. I'm getting better at contracting stuff out. And I can see that as this career progresses, I will have to do that. I will have to contract out some stuff, and yeah, okay, I'll do it. And I'll be okay with it. But I've enjoyed doing things myself. And I don't know why exactly. I'll tell you a story though. I was I was on an exercise, and it was not the typical exercise that I was used to. And I was with a bunch of people that I wasn't used to being with. And I was, I don't know, I shouldn't have been with that group, but I was there for a reason. And I knew a couple of the fellows that were on this exercise, and we were in the woods in northern Maine, and we were setting some equipment up, and then we were going to operate the equipment for a while, take it down, and go home. That's all it was. We were there 2 nights. It was not a big deal for me, but a lot of people were freaked out by having us camp out like in the wilds, and I just couldn't really stand being around them most of the time because they were just like really they would have been better off being back at the club, drinking or something, right? And they were not handling they weren't acting like adults. So I walked off. I was off work, but it was night, and I just walked off. There was nothing to do. So I just went for a walk. And for me, I like the night. I feel comfortable in the dark, and didn't always, but I just walked for quite a long ways, and then my eyes adjusted, and I could see really, really well enough to walk along. And I was out for quite a long time. Those guys were partying and stuff, and I could hear them, and I didn't want to be anywhere near them. And I was walking back in, and this friend of mine, his girlfriend had driven up there, and they were, he had walked down the road, and they were like on the hood of her car, just watching the stars and maybe smooching a little bit, I suppose. And I walked up on them, and I saw them from a long ways out, and I was walking up, and I thought, well, I don't want to scare them by going either side of the road. So I just walked directly up, and I got close. And right off the bat, he goes, "Baker, what are you doing out here?" And I couldn't make their faces out. And my night vision was good. I couldn't make their faces out, but I could tell from their outline who they were. And I said, "How'd you know it was me?" And he said, "Who else would be out here?" So it was kind of a compliment, because I think that's kind of true. Who else would have been out there? Who else would have done that? So my point of reference is maybe a little different, because I've always been a little bit different as far as stuff like that goes. So there you go. There you go. So what's a good place to start? Okay, you've got your Back to Basics book. Then I think making a list of hand tools is the way to go. Because even though I might have I just saw the word table saw there. Even though I might have a table saw, I also have a handsaw. And for me, actually, grabbing the handsaw is, for some cuts, is a lot quicker, and it's a lot less, I don't know. You don't have to set the saw up. I don't have to move anything off the saw or anything like that. It can be a lot quicker to just use my hand tools. So I think a guy really needs to master hand tools first, and then move on to the stuff that makes sense, like a table saw. Make no mistake, though, a table saw. I know 2 people who have cut themselves badly. One guy lost a finger in a table saw. So nothing to fool around with, for sure. It's not just like, oh, a table saw, or even a skill saw. A skill saw being a handheld circular saw. I use them for everything, but I'll tell you what, they're dangerous. They are dangerous if you treat them with respect. So hand tools like what? Handsaw, hammer, a drill, a hand drill, right? Set of bits for the drill, different sizes, screwdrivers, a ratchet set, like a 3/8 drive ratchet set, maybe a 1/4-inch drive ratchet set. I think one of the 2 things that we use the most around here is actually a screw gun, right? And then drywall screws for putting stuff together, and even final assembly on a lot of things. If you walk around here, you will see a lot of drywall screws. This is mounted with drywall screws. I'm sure of it. You know, the flag is a drywall screw at the top of that. I use drywall screws a lot. I also use deck screws a lot too. The green deck screws that have the Torx bit head. Let's see, what else do we use a lot? We use chainsaws quite a bit. I'm not a big advocate of the bow saw. No, not me. I suppose it would probably be a good thing to know how to do, but I'm not that interested in it. All right, so that's a good place to start, is get your tools going. And then as the jobs come, all of a sudden you'll say, hey, I can do that. I can do that, right? I have books that I've been collecting for years about how to do things. And I'm honestly, a lot of times I don't even read them. I just look at the pictures, right? And I've learned how to do a lot of things. The whole meat cutting thing. I mean, I did go to a class, but it was more watching how they conducted the class than how they cut the meat. You know, that I've kind of learned on my own. I still have a lot to learn. I mean, definitely a lot to learn. By the way, what do you think? What do you think about this week? I am going to be driving tomorrow night, so I'm not going to be doing the show tomorrow night. But maybe we can just put the laptop up, and as we're going through, I don't know, Missouri or wherever we'll be, it might be kind of fun. We'll see. I don't know. I don't want to promise it because I'm not sure how it will work driving along in our vehicle there. But maybe. And then maybe down at Sean's, we could do something like that. Maybe. It turns out, get this. Oh, yeah. As we've been talking with the Crunchy Mama people, Sean and Amy, we're starting to realize that, hey, this is a different animal in some respects, right? Because we're dealing with the Crunchy Mama people, and they've got their own. That machine is moving ahead, right? And we're kind of the contractors being brought in to do something, right? But that machine's moving ahead. So as we talk with them, realize, hey, there's a lot to learn here, you know, a whole lot to learn. And so the excitement level has gone up every day. Every day. Sean sends me pictures of the facilities and what he's doing. And, you know, I'm usually busy doing my thing, but I think about it and I think, wow, this is good. This is good. This is not somebody wanting me to show up and do everything. This is somebody that is highly contributing to this operation, and there's definitely a lot for me to learn. So it's Jill that has been talking with Joe. Joe's my second oldest son that's doing our audio visual and also other things that he's doing too. He's doing a lot of thinking about the Anyone Can Farm program and all the processes involved and what he wants to do and things like that. And so Jill has said to Joe, you know, it's too bad you're going to miss this, because I think there's going to be a lot to see here, a lot to learn. And so Joe, I think last night said, I'm coming. I want to come. I want to see it. And they're living in the yurt, and it's cold as anything up here. And they just found out that his wife's going to have a baby. And it's not as much fun, I don't think, as going down to Texas. And then they're going to shoot over to Florida and see some friends and just kind of give the winter a little break and then come home. So they're going to go with us. And I agreed to pay Joe to come because a lot of the work that he'll be doing will be for us. And but and we are definitely working together. Joe's part of Baker's Green Acres. He's part of Anyone Can Farm. More accurately, part of Anyone Can Farm. Baker's Green Acres, I guess, is where he grew up. But if there's anybody out there that between here and Texas, and then between Texas and Florida, that would like to hire him for any kind of audio-visual work, then contact me, and then I'll put you in touch with him. If you want to see the work that he's doing, you can access it at the Anyone Can Farm experience. So he's doing a lot of drone footage and, just all kinds of stuff, interviews with me, and 2 Minute Tuesday, which is kind of fun, and just a lot of entertaining. It's called edutainment, education and entertainment, which is smart. Smart people do that. They get entertained, but they're learning at the same time, right? If you just are watching SpongeBob, you're going to be a SpongeBob. But if you're watching, like, I don't know, National Geographic, I suppose. We used to call it National Pornographic. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. You get entertained by people showing how to do things that it builds into you, and you become more self-sufficient. That's a good thing. So that's edutainment. Edutainment. Really smart thing to do. It's a smart thing to present, to be in that business of the edutainment business, which is kind of where we're sliding, right? And it's good to participate in it. I love to go to classes where there's somebody there that's teaching something that we don't know how to do. That to me is exciting. It's just, but there's not enough of it around. There really is not enough of it around. So let me see. Let me read what we got here. I saw a couple of interesting things, and lots of info. Okay, Nancy's saying Happy New Year. Inga's saying hello. Abundant Living saying, okay, all right. What is that? Okay, I was watching the Wu Flu update today, so says Nancy Dort. There were 92,000 Vs available. Problem is, there are nearly 1 million people in Nova Scotia. So how does that add up to a majority? It doesn't. And I know they've been lying all along. What they say is, oh, everybody's getting it. Why wouldn't you? Everybody's getting it. I think when this is over, and I'm hearing there's going to be like not even a remnant of it by April. You won't hear a remnant of it. Okay, Crunchy. Okay, Crunchy's on. We did a bit of advertising. Okay. I don't know if how you're saying that, Sean. Is it like a bit the understatement, or is your circle edutainment type people? I'm feeling like you've got a bunch of entrepreneurs there that are seeing the value of this, and that's the feeling I get, and that's a good feeling. If you have to drag somebody in and convince them that they need to know how to do this, you probably don't even want them there. Okay. And how don't these people use their head to calculate that number doesn't add up? The majority will not be V'd, yet they enforce their agenda. I say they don't have to order me one. They can keep it. I wonder, Nancy, if you ever lived down in the United States, or you ever really... Because I lived by the border a couple of times. One time I lived on the border of New Brunswick, and I hung out over there quite a bit. And, you have two different groups of people, two different attitudes, really. I have an uncle that used to like to talk to me about, our rendition of the Revolutionary War here is not what really happened. That what they did in Canada, they negotiated. They got along with the Queen. They got along. But the United States, the Americans said, you know what they said to the Queen or to the King. And you guys, you're Justin Castro there, Justin Trudeau, whatever his name is. He has pretty much sworn an allegiance to the Queen. He's at her liege. And I think a lot of the things that you guys are going through is very similar to what's going on in Britain. So, we have to go through this, and we're going through it. But compliance with these people is a bad idea. A bad idea. Farmer equals food freedom. Thanks, fun on the homestead. Virgil saying 100%, Nancy. I am waiting for someone to approach me to do the mask thing to enlighten that fact. Fun on the homestead. Do us all a favor and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. We sure could use it. Please do that, you guys. Give us some love. Yeah, Inga, I hear what you're saying. The guy that I had over Saturday afternoon and into the night, he was saying the same thing, and sort of like a double cross type thing. I don't know. Yeah, Nancy's saying my father is a welder, so this winter he will teach me. It's an advanced. It really is an advanced skill, because by the time you get to the place where you need to join metals to make something or repair something, that's quite advanced. I think probably you want to be starting out with hand tools like a shovel, a rake, a hoe, a wheelbarrow, a really nice wheelbarrow. Get a really good one that you'll have, write your name on the side of it, and then just start moving piles of things from here to there. Build up those triceps and biceps and all that stuff. If you take the roots of dandelion, dry it, and roast it, it's supposed to taste like coffee. We need to recruit Rachel to start in the kitchen, Rachel and Jill. Huh. There you go. Oh, here's one. Sean's saying, the thought of a $600 payment on a car makes me cringe. Yeah, well, it should, because the amount of work that you can do with $600 just to have it sitting out in the driveway doing nothing should make you cringe. And then Inga says a $600 car payment could buy enough seeds and chickens to provide food for a year. Yeah. Chicken every 2 chickens a week per person. If you was eating nothing but chickens. I got to take a raw milk break. I bet. Justin's saying my mom had a handyman magazines delivered for 30 years. I read most of them. Why do I not have a hard time with that? All right, Belva. Our neighbor told us to look into Foxfire book series. Excellent series. Excellent. I read all of them when I was stationed overseas. Yep. Congrats on the grandchild. Is this to me? Oh yeah, Joe. Yeah, the new one that's in the oven baking. Yep, excellent reads for sure, for sure. Okay, well, maybe we can set something up while we're down with Crunchy Mama. You know, it's just going to be a ton of really cool information going on, I think, and it's almost like I want to bring everybody in on it. I thought for a long time the Anyone Can Farm on the road has a ton of potential to other, good, useful content for other homesteaders, and sort of like Justin's mom having the handyman magazine at the house. You know, when you see what other people are doing, you just, hey, I like that. I could do that. You know, I get a lot of that. All right, Crunchy's saying the live stream should work on the back porch. How about that? Wouldn't that be fun? That would be fun. I'm kind of looking forward to driving south and it getting warmer and warmer. It was like 6 degrees when we got up this morning, and I thought I could use a break from this. You know, I'm not complaining. Hey, where's Jack tonight? By the way, I don't even feel right complaining without him there. But yeah, we're taking off a lot earlier than we need to in case we see something along the way and we want to stop and put our feet in the water or something. Who knows? We're bringing bathing suits with us because I heard it was like 80 down there. So probably for people that live down there, that's like, well, it's not really swimming weather. It's 80 degrees. I used to have to go on this trainer every couple of years to Florida, and they would always send me out in January or February. Oh, 17 last night? Wow. That'll make our morning plunge a little bit interesting. But I would go down to Florida, and the people down in Florida have everything closed up, windows closed and everything. And I was coming from Maine, where it would be 20 below, and get down there, and it was just, I couldn't take any more clothes off. You know, it was just so hot. Right? And in the summertime, it was just unbearable, almost unbearable. Yeah. Spend most of the day kind of dizzy. And then the water down there tasted like sulfur. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight, and I appreciate everybody coming by. I would cover your thoughts on Anyone Can Farm on the road, like what you'd like to see out of that. If we develop that into a more of a mainstream thing that we do, maybe it would be a wintertime thing only. My farm needs me a lot more here in the summertime than it does in the wintertime. Although here's testimony. I'm turning this over to, well, my son's going to be here and he's 18, but he's got things going on, and he has taken care of the farm before, many times before, right? So I'm turning it over to Rachel, and she's a licensed driver now, and it'll be her baby, right? So she will be, and so long as nothing goes wrong, she will be handling it. So she has to handle all the chores, and then cook lunch for herself, cook dinner for herself. And so it won't be like, there's anybody to pick up after or anything like that. She can spread her sewing stuff all the way out and all that. But yeah, I've done this many times, turn the farm over to the kids, and feel like, it'll be here when I get back. They're very capable because they've grown up doing this. All right. And if you're not there, if you're not into if you're not where you want to be, self-sufficiency wise, take a step. And that step might be to Harbor Freight to get some hand tools and then start using them. You don't have to like need to fix something that's broke. Of course, you could go break it and then fix it, or you can just, get some lumber and some things and try your saw out and then screw some pieces together, or get a book that's got projects in it on how to do, like, build a birdhouse or build a set of shelves for the house. And now is the time to do it. In the wintertime, now is the time to do it. Another good thing to do is see if you can find a farmer that you can go to and say, I will give you my labor in exchange for your instruction. That's fair. It really is. You can't expect the farmer to pay money to somebody that they have to teach. That's tough, because if I'm teaching you, then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So therefore, you're a liability to me, and I got to give you money too. Not going to happen. That's why you don't see those types of things happen. But an internship program is a totally different thing. You come to me, I'll give you something. I'll look over your shoulder for a little bit. I'm not going to give you anything that if you screw it up, that we're going to lose everything. And then as you get better and better and better, you get more things, more responsibility, more complex tasks. And when you leave after the summer, it's like, I got a good idea how to do these things. You'll learn a lot. So interning is a really good thing. Just haven't developed it here. I don't know. We have kids, so young kids. So I just, I don't know. Haven't done it. All right. Gonna go. Remember, anyone can farm.